Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Po, and today I'm going to be doing my monthly priority for February of 2020, which is Black History Month in the US. If you're not familiar with my monthly priorities project, I will link a video down below. But basically, each month I focus on a group of authors or a type of book that I want to read. And for this month, February, it is Black History Month, so I want to focus on Black authors. In this video, I'm going to be giving some shout outs for Booktubers, also doing some book recommendations, and then talking about my TBR for what I want to get read in February. So first, for the shout outs, I have 3 booktubers that I would like to recommend that you check out. I actually had a really hard time narrowing my list down to 3 because there are some pretty amazing Black booktubers out there. So if you want any recommendations past this list, ask me, and I have really quite a lot of channels that I would recommend. But let's go ahead and talk about these 3. The 3 that I narrowed it down to are all channels that really not just our own voices Black booktubers, but they are channels that really focus on reading Black authors, that focus on issues of race and really interesting things that I think help expand my reading. The first of these is Njeri at ONYX Pages. Njeri is awesome. She is Canadian and Black and queer, and she focuses her channel on reading Black speculative fiction, which means that I get so many amazing recommendations for SFF on her channel. One of the cool things too is that she doesn't just read the big popular named books. She reads so many small press books, so I find out about all kinds of books I never would have heard about otherwise. Plus, she's really smart. The way that she looks at books, the way she talks about them is always fascinating. She even has her own rating system called the 7 cowrie shell system, which is really fascinating. She looks at a book and she evaluates it based on the things that matter to her, such as hearing the story from the most oppressed people. A lot of cool things. She also runs the Kwanzaa Reflectathon, so you should definitely check her out. Next, I'd like to shout out Jourdyn from Left on Red. Jourdyn is really cool. She reads so many new releases. She reads everything really, from SFF to literary fiction to nonfiction, tons of things. She also reads backlist, but I find that her channel is where I find out about all of these really cool new releases, and she focuses very heavily on Black authors. So I think that her channel is a great place if you kind of want to keep up with what's going on in the literary world, what's coming out from Black authors. Plus, she just is really chill and really positive. It's fun to watch her channel. She does great travel vlogs. She goes to cool conferences, all sorts of things. So I highly recommend checking out her channel as well. And lastly, I'd like to recommend Justin at Ghost Reader. Justin also reads really widely, but I find that what I go to his channel for especially are the nonfiction recommendations. He reads a ton of nonfiction, especially things focusing on race and class and history. He does many of these standalone reviews, which are just 5 to 10 minutes long, of upcoming books as well. He does a lot of reading upcoming arcs, and it is just such a great resource for getting a lot of great book recommendations. Next, I'd like to give recommendations of 3 books by Black authors that I think you should read. So the first is The Black God's Drums by Djèlí Clark. This is a really fun short novella that is steampunk, set in the sort of middle 1800s in New Orleans. And it's an alternate history where the Civil War was never finished, and New Orleans became an independent city-state. There's also a lot of magic in this. There's these Haitian gods that can control wind, things like that. There's airships. It's a fun world, and the story itself is great. It's a mystery. It's a lot of action and just cool things happen. The story follows Creeper, who is a 13-year-old Black girl in New Orleans. She lives on the street, but she's super smart, and she goes ahead and she connects people to information and things that they may need. But she finds some information that may be pretty important that she decides to try to sell to a Haitian airship captain, and becomes very involved in what's going on in this plot. So I really had a fun time with the story, and I love Djèlí Clark. I highly recommend this. Next, I'd like to recommend An Unkindness of Ghosts by Rivers Solomon. This is a science fiction standalone adult novel that looks at a generation starship where the society in this starship has basically devolved into something very similar to the antebellum South, where based on the decks of the starship, the upper decks are white and powerful and rich, and the lower decks are black and dealing with great poverty and lack of resources and forced into slave labor and abused in a lot of ways. So this book really takes a look at a lot of issues of race and class and oppression. And it does this all within a mystery. So the main character is Aster. Aster is non-binary, they are black, they are autistic, and also incredibly intelligent. I think all of these are own voices for the author Rivers Solomon. Aster is, although one of the lower deck inhabitants, also somebody who's a little bit special because they are a researcher and a doctor, and they are able to move between some of the levels a little bit better than many of the other people. And they find sort of a mystery. They find some notebooks from their mother who passed away when they were a baby, and they're trying to unravel the code in this and understand what happened, how their mother passed away, all these mysterious circumstances, and this leads them to really uncovering some important issues about the structure of the spaceship as a whole. And it's a great mystery, and it follows just such interesting characters, deals with amazing content, although there are a lot of content warnings. This is a heavy book. There's a lot of sexual and physical abuse, a lot of just really, really heavy topics, but I feel like they are dealt with so well and from the perspective of the oppressed. So I highly recommend this book. And the third book that I'd like to recommend is Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. This is a nonfiction memoir of Coates growing up in the inner city as a black man and reflecting on how that shaped his worldview, how that shaped his opportunities and his experiences, and really reflecting now that he is somebody who has been an author, has been somebody in the Obama White House, very involved in a lot of political things, just kind of how that affected him. And I found that this was just such great insight into that experience. Plus, Ta-Nehisi Coates is just the most fantastic writer. His prose is so beautiful, so I highly recommend this book as well. Okay, so now moving on to my TBR for this February. I have chosen 7 books that I would like to read, and these are just things that I'm going to prioritize. I'd like to read at least 5 of these, but if I can read all 7, that's great. I will also very likely pick up other books that catch my eye during the month that fit within Black History Month, so at the end of the month I will wrap up everything that I read that is related to this topic. The first book that I'm for sure going to read is How Long Till Black Future Month by N.K. Jemisin. This is something that I'm going to be buddy reading with Wendy from BookNerdTV, who I will link below. And I have been excited about this book for quite a while. N.K. Jemisin wrote the Broken Earth trilogy, which I fell in love with last year. I loved it so much, and I have been so into short stories recently, so I really want to pick this up. Also, one of these short stories has been used sort of as a basis for a new novel that N.K. Jemisin is coming out with called The City We Became in March. So I want to read that too. I want to read this before I get to that. I'm really excited about this collection. Another book that I for sure want to get to this month is Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. This is something that I heard about from Priscilla at Bookie Charm, who I will link below, and I'm going to be buddy reading with Kazen from Always Doing, who I will also link below. Kazen and I have both wanted to read more radical romance, which is this idea of romance novels that address social issues. And we'd heard about this one from Priscilla, other people, and wanted to pick it up. So I'm not entirely positive about what it's about. It sounds like there is an NBA player and a sports marketer, and they are dealing with some emotional issues in this. But I've heard good things, and I just want to read more radical romance, and I want to read something with Kazen, so I'm looking forward to it. Next on my list is Slay by Brittany Morris. This is a YA contemporary following a black teenage girl who has created an online multiplayer role-playing game that is focused on kind of being black and role-playing. And it's this great community. It's wonderful for people until, unfortunately, 2 of the players actually come to violence in real life. And this create sort of a media storm about it, saying, oh, you know, this is an online world where people become thugs, these sorts of things. And so this book sounds like it really addresses a lot of the issues that Black teenagers go through, a lot of the perception of Blackness in the US. It sounds like it just addresses a lot of social justice issues and perception issues that are really worth discussing, but in a very cool YA contemporary. I've heard very good things about this. Next on my list is Showtime at the Apollo by Ted Fox, illustrated by James Otis Smith. This is something that I randomly saw at the library and picked up because it looked so good. It is a graphic novel, and I believe that it's an adaptation of a nonfiction work that Ted Fox wrote, all about so many different Black musicians who played at the Apollo in Harlem. And I love nonfiction, I love graphic works, and I really love history and music. I'm a huge fan of a lot of this jazz and big band era music. I love things like Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald, and I cannot wait to pick this up. I'm so excited. Next is The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. This is a book that came out just a few months ago. It seems like it is a literary historical fiction with some magical elements thrown in, and because it's Ta-Nehisi Coates, I want to pick it up. I think this is maybe his first venture into fiction too, so it'll be interesting to see. It sounds like this book takes place in the kind of antebellum South and follows a slave, Hiram, who has some magical abilities and he escapes. So it's about his journey, it's about his magic, and about kind of the antebellum South. So I don't know too much about it, but I'm really interested in picking it up. Next on my list is Everything's Trash, But It's Okay by Phoebe Robinson. I am for sure going to listen to this on audio because I listened to her previous audiobook, which was You Can't Touch My Hair, and loved it. So these are comedic essays, basically. It's Phoebe Robinson taking a look at the world and giving commentary, and I love her commentary. I loved so much her previous collection. It was so funny and it was just irreverent, and it also addressed a lot of really cool social issues, things like microaggressions, things like being an angry Black woman, all these sorts of things. A lot of stuff that I felt offered great insight into that experience while being really funny and just very, very relatable. Even if that experience isn't mine, I could relate so clearly to her. So I can't wait to pick up the second collection. Sosha's already listened to it and said it was so good, so I'm really excited. And last on my TBR is Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. Jacqueline Woodson is a pretty famous author, and this is her memoir of growing up, I think in the 60s, and about just kind of her experience. It is written in verse, and it's a middle grade, which basically hits all of my boxes. So I'm really excited to try this. I actually had tried listening to this on audio a while back, but I struggled with the audio. So I'm going to try the non-audio form this time and see if that works better for me. Okay, so those are all of the books that I would like to try to read in February. If anybody has read any of those books, please let me know in the comments below what you thought, or if you have any recommendations for me of other books that I should try picking up, or any booktube channels I should check out, or anything else in general that you want to comment, go ahead and leave me a comment below. Oh, and if you are participating in something like Black History Month, or I believe there's a couple of readathons going on as well, things like I think the Blackathon is happening, and there's another one too, which I will link below. So if you're doing any of those, let me know. I'd love to hear what you're planning to read as well.